All right, so on to the July PowerShell virtual chapter of PASS meeting. We're glad you could all join us. We've got some really great news to be sharing with you. Hopefully you saw in the email that we sent out today, you can go ahead and download the July update to SSMS if you haven't done so already. It has a new PowerShell module inside of it and a whole bunch of other new things, and we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff today. Before we break into all of that, we want to go through some resources for you guys to have. Obviously we're at PowerShell.SQLPS.org. You can get to our chapter there. You can go to, if that's too long to remember, just go to SQLPS.io and it should redirect you there. And SQLPS.io/vote down here at the bottom, SQLPS.io/YouTube and Slack, so on and so forth. Those are down at the bottom of all those slides, and just wanted to call that out before we get started. Is anyone recording today?
I am.
Okay.
Awesome.
So if we'll go ahead and change, there we go. All right. So new feature that we wanted to tell you about this month. In the past, the Q&A, obviously you could ask questions during the session, but as soon as the session was over, you were no longer able to interact and ask questions or even get to the answer that someone may have posted. So we have fired up a Slack channel, and it will allow us to have you ask questions. We can give you the answer. If you need to come back a couple hours later when you're able to test that or whatever it may be, you can come back and see that answer, hours, days after it has been posted. And maybe if you've got a follow-up question to it later on, you can point to the question that you're asking and say, here's my next thing that I ran into. So to be able to join us there, just go to SQLPS.io/Slack, and there's a sign-up page. Just go ahead and invite yourself to the channel. We do ask that you go ahead and accept the invite as quickly as possible, because if we have too many unaccepted invites laying out there, Slack starts to think we're spamming people and shuts us down. So we'll just ask you to do that as quick as you can and get confirmed into the channel. The channel or sub-channel, I'm not even sure what the nomenclature is, but it's poshvc_QA is where we'll be hosting the Q&A. You're still welcome to use the GoToWebinar Q&A if you want. That's no problem. You don't have to use Slack. But we just thought this might be more helpful for some people who are trying some things out that they're seeing the presenter demo and want to try them out at their own time. All right, so we've got a lot to tell you about today now that we've got that housekeeping bits out of the way. We've got new commandlets, some stories to tell you, dedication, Trello, demos, and more demos. And this is the general flow that we wanted to let you know. We're going to have time for questions at the end, and we have actually this webinar to be able to go to 90 minutes in case people have extra questions about all the new changes that are coming down in the current version of SQLPS and the new SQL Server. All right. Let's see. Sorry. Waiting to go. All right, so the PowerShell VC of PASS has grown a little bit in the past month. We wanted to let you know, obviously, I'm Aaron Nelson. I'm the lead. I've been doing this for quite a few years. With us today is Chrissy Lemaire. She's our co-lead. She's been working with us since the beginning of the year. And Chrissy, I'll let you introduce yourself.
All right, so hey everyone, my name is Chrissy Lemaire. I am a DBA for General Dynamics at NATO Special Ops headquarters in Belgium. I'm also a two-time PowerShell MVP, co-lead for this VC, and lead for the Belgian PowerShell user group group. I also blog at netnerds.net and I tweet at CL.
Great. In addition, Lierte Jr., longtime PowerShell VC co-lead, he wasn't able to join us today, but he'll be back on in next month. And he's got some new articles out there on Simple Talk about the new features, specifically about the output as that you may want to take a look at. And finally, our newest member to the team is, and having a great impact already. Rob had pinged Chrissy and I a couple weeks ago and pointed out that we didn't quite have all the Connect items and the different Trello cards up to date on the up on the PowerShell Help SQLPS webpage up on the PowerShell virtual chapter, and it's a lot of information. We kind of started this just trying to get things moving, and now they're moving, and there's a lot of movement, and we need more help to be able to even keep track of it. So Rob thankfully has stepped up and offered to help us keep track, and if you take a look at the reporting page that he'll show you later, I think you'll be pretty impressed by what he's done. At this point, Rob, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Rob. You can find me on Twitter at SQLDBA with beard. There's no A in that one, but I blog at SQLDBA with a beard. That's all thanks to Twitter's maximum character limit. I'm a SQLDBA and I'm from the UK.
All right, great. And we're, like I said, extremely excited to have Rob here with us, and what a great time too. All right, so hopefully the next slide's up right now. This is what we have to talk about today. We can't get into all of it, but we're going to get into as much of it as we can. We've got 25 new commandlets, plus 3 new fixes to existing functionality, and the new name for our module. So going forward, instead of importing module SQLPS, you'll want to import module SQL Server, and that'll get you all the new functionality. We've got the SQL Server agent commandlets here on the left, as well as the error log commandlets that came out. Some additions here on invoke SQL command. Again, we're not going to really have time to dive into that too much today, but we wanted to make sure that you're aware of it. And then there is a slew of always encrypted commandlets that you may find helpful if you're setting up always encrypted.
Oh, one thing to throw in, if you haven't, you haven't talked about it or addressed it. So with the import module SQL Server, SQLPS will remain on your machine. It's just not going to be updated. So if you want all the new features that Microsoft is introducing, then you will be using import module SQL Server.
And partly that's due to, I'm sure many of you are just like us, and you actually have a local instance of SQL Server on your machine, and SQL Server Agent is set up to use the SQLPS module. So for this version, there would be a breaking change to go and swap that out. So they have invested their time in more commandlets, and we applaud them for that. And very happy to let them wait for that change to come in the next major version. Right. So how do I know what commandlets are out there? Before this wasn't really a problem. We didn't have very many commandlets at all. You could just do get module SQL Server, and it would tell you here are the 11 commandlets or 29 commandlets or whatever you had, and it wasn't a very long list. As you're getting now up to 70 some odd commandlets, you'll actually want to sort through them, and maybe you don't care about some of them, like the always on commandlets or something like that. Or maybe you're working with a specific type of object inside of SQL Server. So you could be trying to make database changes, and that's an object that you'll be able to look for in PowerShell. You might be doing table changes, index changes, or a change at the server, actually instance level of SQL Server. And you may only care, let's say you're doing it about a database change, you may only care what commandlets are out there that actually work with a database. If it doesn't work with a database, I'm not interested in it today. And you can do that very easily just by doing git command, put the module SQL Server, and then the parameter name of database. And you can see which parameters accept a database parameter in them. And believe we've actually taken a screenshot, of what's there. And you can actually see it in the screenshot in this slide, telling you which commandlets are out there. And if you want to, you can go ahead and do that yourself, obviously. In addition to that, we want to draw your attention especially to doing get help on get SQL error log and checking out the examples there, as well as doing get help on get SQL agent and getting the information there. A lot of information that you'll want to take a look at to make sure that you understand it and are able to use it quickly and easily. And real quick, before we get any further in, I love demos, and I hope you guys do too. And I wanted to go ahead and demo for you guys real quick. Gonna try to do in just 2 minutes, show you a feature on one of the new commandlets. So to get started again, as we said, you're going to want to import module SQL Server. I've already done that. Importing it a second time won't hurt anything. I'm going to use my new get error log commandlet that I've been get SQL error log commandlet that I've been telling you about, and I'm going to give the instance name of my 2016 instance on my local machine, and I'm going to get that. And now I see a page full of text coming back, and that's not actually really helpful very much, is it? So, let's take a look at a couple things here. I'm going to do that again, but this time I'm going to take the output and I'm going to pipe it to measure. Just out of curiosity, how many messages are in that error log? And there we go, 14,511. That's a lot of messages. And that's a lot to parse through. And I've never really been a huge fan of having to parse through a lot of error logs, let alone a lot of error logs on multiple instances of SQL Server. We did want to show you one good option for being able to take a look at these things, but this is something where this is the kind of thing that you'd use when you're poking around or just need to do something quick and dirty. This isn't something that you would do to like sweep your error logs or anything like that, but just when you need to go and find something. So I'm going to take the output of my error log and I'm going to pipe it to OGV or out grid view. And I'm not sure, did that pop up on the screen, guys?
Yeah.
Yes, it did, yeah.
Can you see the out grid view?
Insufficient memory resource. Disallowing page allocations.
Right, okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure it actually,
totally.
You never know what are sometimes. So I'm just going to type in the word memory here and just see how many instances of the word memory did I get. And it goes through there and it filters everything that's in here and only gives me back the ones that are something to do with the word memory. And as you can see, I've actually got a lot. So got a lot of memory issues going on my machine. Granted, I've been doing a lot of demos for SQL Server 2016, and it's only on it's on a tablet here, a Surface Book, and it doesn't have it only has 16 gigs on it, so it doesn't have a lot to work with in the first place. And I'm doing some things with tables that have 50 million and 60 million rows in them. So as you can imagine, it wouldn't be too long before I actually ran out of memory. So that's good, that's great, but what else can you do with it? Is there anything helpful that you can do with that other than you see you've got a lot of error messages? Well, real quick before I get done, I'll show you as I go ahead and I go back and I do this again, I'm going to ask for memory messages again, and then I'm going to do Control A. I've done the dash pass-through parameter this time, and I've told it that I want it to pipe the results over to that measure command that I used just a moment ago. And, oh, not responding. A few seconds, hopefully it'll come back. Must be all the extra I/O and pressure that go
It's
to
your
webinars.
Surface. Yes, and that. It's a
Yeah,
Surface. I try
yeah,
to tell them to get a MacBook all the time.
yeah. But then I'd have more problems. All right. So unfortunately, that's not coming back. Anyways, the result was going to be that if I go over to measure, and it would tell me how many messages I have. I could then change that message and look for something else. Look for something like, you know, anything that I wanted, the port, whatever it may be. And then finally, I'm going to show you a very simple example of using your registered SQLs to go ahead and grab the error log information from multiple machines. And to do that, I would just basically, I would traverse through my registered servers list, get that list of servers, and then go grab each one of the error logs, smash it all together, and then pipe that output out to grid view, and then filter it there. That way, if I'm looking for something, I find something that's happening on one machine, I want to find out, well, hey, is this happening on more than one machine? Is it happening on all of them out there? And then I'd be able to, scan for that. In the interest of time, I'll go ahead and hand it back over to Chrissy, and we'll talk more about the out-grid view and looping through your registered servers a little later on.
All right, waiting for my slide.
It's churning.
One moment, please.
Well, whilst you were doing that, Aaron, I ran the same command on my Surface Book, and I had memory errors on there too as well. So it can't cope with two SQL instances and PowerPoint and webinar and everything else.
And then you throw in a couple of content.
Yeah.
Can you maybe close out your PowerShell so that I can? It's not going to the next slide.
Was it not going up?
Yeah. Well, I don't see anything. Do you, Rob?
I don't see anything. No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Sorry, PowerShell is closed. And if it does, I'll try it one last time.
All right.
Sending it over the hard way with the monitor.
Nope. All right. So I think that what I could do here.
If you take control, Chrissy.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take control and and I'm gonna put this on. Woo! Make presenter. Who? Me. How to do that? Can you hand it to me, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. Going to you now.
All righty. So I'm going to show this. Show this window. Okay, can you guys see it? And you can see me as well.
We see the beginning of the PowerPoint.
Snap! I'm so sorry, guys. Alrighty. All right. So why is this significant? The reason it's significant is that PowerShell support in SQL Server was neglected for years. I was sort of a latecomer to the whole scene, and Twitter was like, "No, nothing's ever going to get done. Quit trying." And a lot of other platforms have tons more commands that help them get things done faster. So Link has like 700 commandlets. SharePoint has 700 commandlets. Exchange has 700 commandlets. And we had, before this release, only 46 commandlets. But Ken Van Heining let us know recently in an interview that a few years back, a lot of the engineers had to go to Azure SQL database. And what he said was that they have been reinvesting in the tools again, and he gets a chance to be a part of leading their SQL client tools renaissance. And this is what we're seeing now. It is so effective. It is so awesome. And the results are immediate. Next. And we love you, Ken. He's probably watching. He watches everything.
Click next, Chrissy.
Oh, it's me. How embarrassing. All right, there we go.
So there's a sneak preview of the next slide there. But basically, Microsoft are really committed to hearing from you, the guys that use SQL all the time, guys who use PowerShell and SQL all the time. And here are some of the quotes that they said. So Vin says, I see these commandlets on Trello. Please upvote the ones that you want to see us working on next. Good stuff is on the way, folks, said Ken. Help Chrissy and Aaron get me the highest priority improvements. Your vote counts. And David says, the DBA and MVP community has created its own channels where the SQL Tool Teams members participate. The Trello board is building momentum and there's a new Slack channel. More of us are trying to monitor forums like SQL Help, Reddit and Stack Overflow on a regular basis. And Matteo says, Trello is so addicting, and hopefully Slack will become just as addicting. So why are we talking about Trello and Slack and interacting with Microsoft? Because your SQLPS needs you. It's not called SQLPS anymore. It's now called SQL Server. But Microsoft have said that they will take forward what we provide for them. And if you go to SQLPS.io/vote, you'll see the Trello board, and everybody's welcome to come along. What you'll see when you're there is a load of lists, and the lists are different categories of commandlets that we think that we want for PowerShell and SQL. And what we'd like you to do is to go and have a look through them and add your comments, and then vote. Please vote. We'd really like you to vote. It's very important that you vote.
Every single month, too, because all of our votes totally culminate into actions, and they take them and we get commandlets out of it.
So,
and
green...
not just...
I was going to say the green labels are the ones that the SQL team have already confirmed they're looking into. The blue ones are the ones where Connect items have already been submitted. So please go and vote for those on the Connect site rather than on the Trello board. After each SSMS release, we'll reset the Trello counts. We can't reset the votes, but we hold a count, and then we will then put forward the next highest voted non-filed on Connect cards. So the Trello board decides which things we want to promote forward to Connect, and then the Connect votes will then decide on what Microsoft do. And in the Ask Me Anything on Reddit, Ken said, let me just read this properly, all Connect items are synced to our internal TFS server we use for tracking all of our work. For each monthly release, we budget time to take care of Connect items. Engineers on the team then pick up as many Connect items based on vote count they can get done, and we'll work on getting them fixed for the next monthly update. So basically, as Chrissy said, as Aaron has said, if you want something and you put it out there and we all vote on it, Microsoft will work on it, and that's what they're saying. If you'd like to see the data that we've got on the Trello boards in a flashy Power BI sort of way, if you go to SQLPS.io/reports, you can see, as you see on the screen, a report straight out of Power BI coming off the Trello board. You can filter it, you can click on it to see how it works, and then at the top right there's a link which will take you straight to that Trello card, which will enable you to vote. Please vote. Next.
All right.
And not just vote, but also even a comment as simple as "this will help me with my job." That will be helpful to Microsoft to know that it's impacting people and how many comments they see like that. So even as a comment as simple as that can help build momentum for an item that that you might need in your job.
You can actually also tell a story about what you would do with the commandlets and what other DBAs can do with the commandlet as well, and propose them. Alrighty, so now you've taken it back, Aaron?
Trying to, yep.
It looks like you got it.
All right, so hopefully I should have this slide now, and let me fire back up SQLPS, SQLISE. So many letters now I can't even keep them straight. All right. Get my ISE back open again. Let me know when you guys can see it.
We did. It looks good, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm just going to take you through a quick tour again. As I was mentioning, You've got some options without grid view and snippets, Control J in the ISC, and being able to take a look at your registered servers that you probably already have, or maybe your central management server, either one, and you'll be able to access either one of them with PowerShell. So once again, I've already imported my module SQL Server. I've already got that loaded. I'm going to change directories to my local machine, to my default instance, and go to my databases. Now when I do this, I'm using the SQL provider, and using the SQL provider is essentially the command line version of Object Explorer that you know and love in SQL Management Studio and that you've been using for years. So when you're traversing with the provider, that's really all you're doing. You're doing that at the command line level, and you're able to see more things with it than you would have been able to see with just using the Object Explorer. A lot more things are available to you. Sorry for the delay here. Just need to actually start my instance. That would have been helpful. Yeah, I know, right? Well, start the other instance. So I've traversed down to my databases. Again, this is just, a machine name, machine name and its instance name, and then databases, just like you have in Object Explorer. And then I'm going to do a dir there, and if you're familiar with the Object Explorer details, you just hit the F7 key and you get those details out in the other pane. That's what I'm doing right here. That kind of information is what I'm seeing right here. I take that information and I pipe it to my friend that I showed you a few minutes ago, out grid view, and I'm going to use that pass-through parameter on there again, and I'm going to pipe all of that information over to the backup SQL database commandlet. Now everything I'm showing you here is something that you've got available to you in SQL Server 2012 and in SQL Server 2014. You don't even need the new SQLPS to be able to do this. What I'm trying to point out to you, though, is the functionality that you've got and how you can leverage it. When you see what we're about to do, please don't think about backing up your database. That's not really the point here. You've probably got scripts to do that already, probably all Hallengren scripts, and you've got it all. Backing up your databases isn't the point. Backing up maybe some of your databases is more so the point, and it really comes down to being able to have a script that does something and then interrupt it and then change what you were going to do with it. So real quick, I'll just point out a little piece of the syntax. This little % with the curly brackets, that's going to for each, or basically loop over what we're about to do. So for each one of these databases, one at a time, is going to pipe it to backup database. And as it comes across, this $_ is basically the current thing coming across that little loop there. And each one is going to have a name, and I'm going to say, take that name and pass it in as the database parameter to backup SQL database. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I get my list of databases. In this case, I am wanting all databases that have the letters DW in them. I want to back those up and just those up. So I click OK, and that goes on. You see that they start backing up. That's great. Everything's wonderful.
Too cool.
So I didn't have to back up everything. I had that option if I wanted to, but backing up the database wasn't even the point. Maybe it was something else I needed to do to those databases. Maybe it was deploying a store procedure to a number of databases, but not every database on the server. Any number of things that you may have needed to do to multiple databases. That's really what we're talking about here today. So we just showed you how to do that with the provider and how to be able to do a dir and use that. Also in 2014, I believe in 2014, we've got the get SQL database commandlet that if you pass it an instance name, in this case I'm going to say localhost, it'll go out there and get you that same list of database names that we just talked about a moment ago. We're going to pipe that information And every time you see a pipe, just think of it as basically taking everything that happened here, and I'm going to select it into the next command for those that are SQL people that might make sense to you. In this case, we're going to send it over to where, and we're going to say if the name is not equal to tempdb, so basically everything except tempdb, then go to the next command. And the next command I'm going to use is that same backup SQL database command. And I'm going to say, back up the SQL database. You'll notice this time I don't need to provide that name because in this particular manner, using the going from one commandlet to another, I'm actually able to just pipeline that information across, and it will figure it out what the database name is. And then one last thing I want to show you, and it's one of the great things about PowerShell, is the fact that I'm able to turn my compression option on here and compress those files as I back them up. But when I do so, what is the valid syntax for turning the compression on? Is it on, or is it true, or is it yes please? I do a lot of things with databases. I do a lot of BI work, but remembering how to turn on the compression option on, I know I want it on, but I don't remember what the syntax is on the top of my head. So as I go through here, you see I can hit the tab completion, and it'll finish typing that out for me to help me so I don't have a syntax error. And then as soon as I hit the space key, I get a little drop-down list of what my options are. And unfortunately, it looks like with the screen sizing that I've done, that maybe it's making that a little hard, so I'll try that one more time. Hopefully you can see it this time. It gives me a list of what my valid options are. I can use default, meaning just take whatever the server is set to do and do that, which may be on or off. Or I can say, turn it on. And that way I don't have to remember the syntax. It just is there for me. It says these are the only valid options, pick one, and I can go on about my day. And I can go into the next thing and I can stop worrying about it because I know I got the syntax right because it was the only option. So I'm going to go ahead and kick that off. And I've got my same thing going on. I'm backing up databases. And this could be helpful if I needed to back up every single database on the server. Again, you probably already have scripts for that, but this could be something else that you need to do to every single database. Could be deploying a user, deploying a view, deploying something, I don't know. And again, I didn't interrupt it with the outgrid view this time, but I could have. And finally, I want to take you down to the for each loop that I showed you before with the registered servers. And I want to show you one thing about that real quick. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to kind of focus in on this statement that it's got right there, which is to get the database and move it over across the pipeline, exclude the tempdbs, and then go ahead and back them up. So I've got that, and I'm just going to add a couple lines here. I'm going to hit Control-J inside the ISE, and I want to call this out just to help you guys get started with SQL Server a little faster. This is something that you may commonly use, and it is a simple snippet that allows you to put in a common piece of code that you can reuse over and over again. So I've done that. I've got it loaded up, and I can share that with everyone. And it's very, very simple. What the piece of code is doing is it's going through and it's taking a look at my registered servers file, and it is going through each one of them and returning the results of it to me. And with the sizing on this, it might be a little bit hard, but basically I'm going to do a dir, and I'm going to go look at all those in my registered servers that I already have on here, and I'm going to pipe it over to where just to knock off any folder names because I don't want those. And I'm going to go ahead and I just ran the dir here, and I'm going to just show you that within the for each loop, I'm going to do it again, and I get that same list of server names. So now now that I've got my list of names, which is going to be important for the next step, I'm going to paste in that piece of code for my backing up my databases, and I'm going to come back here and I'm going to steal that name right off of there, and I'm going to replace the server instance name. Instead of just saying the local host, I'm going to say every time we loop through here, so every single one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 server names in my registered server file is going to come into this registered SQLs variable. And then for each one of them, one at a time, we're going to come inside this loop, and we're going to take the first one off, and we're going to say the registered SQLs, and I'm going to say, give me the .name off there, and that's going to be the server instance. And then I'm going to kick this off, and it is going to go through every single server in my registered servers file and go ahead and back up every single database, with the exception of TempDB, on all of those instances. And with just a few seconds, just a couple lines of code, I am now leveraging something I already had, which are my registered or my central management servers, and I'm now piping that information to another command, looping through it, and doing something that I didn't even have a script written for before, and I'm able to fan it out to all these different servers to be able to do it, and yet it only takes me a few seconds to write the code to be able to do this. Again, backing up the database isn't really the point. It could be anything that you need to do to those databases. So it could be a query that you need to run to get some security audit information from all the databases, or the sizing of the data files, or things like that. Anything could be anything, absolutely anything you can query, and pretty much anything you can see inside of Management Studio is something that you can grab from those SQL servers. And then one last demo I'll show you very quickly before I hand it back over is these new SQL agent commandlets. So we've got get SQL agent, and I'm going to tell it localhost, and get SQL agent localhost is just going to tell me very simply, go get the SQL agent off my particular instance, in this case localhost. And all it did was it told me, okay, there is a SQL agent running there. Yes, okay, that's great. What else can I find out? Well, let's find out about all the jobs there. And at this point, I actually want to swap this over a little, and I want to be able to swap this over to show you SSMS. So let me see. Monitor 1, go, yes. Robert, Chrissy, if you can tell me.
Back to the same one. Oh. Yes, now it's here. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now it's showing Management Studio. It's great. If I go to Jobs in Management Studio, underneath that SQL Server agent, you can see I don't have a ton of information. And actually, that's the jobs on the other instance. Let me fire up that other SQL Server agent real quick. Apologize for having to jump around a little bit there. So I'm going to go to the local host machine, go to that particular SQL agent where I've actually got more jobs. And over here in Object Explorer Details, you can see I'm pretty much seeing everything I can see. I can dive into there a little more with the Job Activity Monitor, but then that's not really the same thing that I was able to see here. And this is always telling me the last instance of a job having run. And I don't know about you, but I'm from back in the days of Enterprise Manager, I wanted to be able to see my list of jobs, and it allows me to see that they're running or not, but it doesn't tell me what was their last state. Did they succeed the last time they ran, and that kind of information. I wish I had that. So I'm going to go back over here to PowerShell real quick, and I'm going to say, get me the agent jobs off of that machine. I can output my results down here to the screen, or once again, I can do it to the out-grid view, if that's what you prefer. And I'll show you, just by doing that, not only am I able to see all the jobs, I'm able to see other things. I was able to see the current status, that none of them were running, but I can see the date created, I can see the date the last date modified, I can see who the owner is, all from the screen, and those are things that are not available to me in SQL Server Management Studio. So slight syntax change. I'm going to set a variable called SQL Server. I'm going to say the local host, and I'm going to say SQL Server is equal to localhost. And I'm going to set that variable. And then I'm going to go to my command. I'm going to do basically the exact same thing as I did before. I'm going to get the agent, the SQL Server agent itself, get the jobs that are running there, and then I'm going to pipe that over to SQL's get the agent jobs. And now, finally, I'm going to pipe it to one last commandlet, and I'm going to say, you know what? The only ones I'm even interested in are ones where the last run outcome is failed. Only tell me about those. And then here we go. I've got my fancy import job, and it has failed. Now I know, all right, I've got to take a look at that. It's great information, but what happens after a holiday weekend and you come back in the office and you need to know about all your agent jobs across all your machines? Well, using that same construct that we showed before, where we go and we take a look at all of our registered servers, we can take a look at them. In this case, I'm actually going to pass that out grid view. So instead of saying all of my registered servers, I'm actually going to say I only want these, and I'm going to skip this last guy, and I'm going to move forward with that. So by doing that, I've reduced the list down to these 4, and I've only run part of the script this time, just to show you that I'm only going to run against 4 machines. And then I'm going to, this time I'm going to run that whole script. So basically, I'm running precisely what I showed you a minute ago, and this variable here is just going to get swapped out every time I loop through with a new server name. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to run that, and I'm going to say I want these 4 servers, and I want all the failed jobs from those 4 servers, and it goes through and it finds, oh, each one of them happens to have a failed job on them, and it tells me the tells me what the job is, and when it outputs this information to the screen, it actually kind of chops off a little bit of the extra information, especially since I've done my font size up so much. But I want to let you know that there's a lot more information available there that you can get. And you can get lots and lots of information about your job. You know, what was the error, if it had it, what was the duration, things like that. And you can go through and explore those things using the commandlets there. So that was just running through some of the new functionality here that we have available to us now. You know, that's useful to everyone. And I know I don't always need to, when I need it, it'd be really nice if I only had to do a couple clicks to be able to do it, a couple lines of code to be able to do it, instead of having to do multiple clicks for every single instance that I might need to drill through. Okay, and with that, we can have more questions for that later, but I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chrissy.
Hey all. All right, so what Aaron did was he showed you the functionality that's currently available with the new SQL Server module. And what Rob and I are going to do are we are going to show you the possibilities. So imagine if we could take all the SQL Server DBA best practices and put them into a commandlet. You know, like things like repair SQL orphaned user. I know that's not a best practice, but it's something that we have to do a lot. Find SQL unused index, test the SQL latency, disable SQL logon trigger, and things like that. And so we are going to show you the possibilities. And in this video, I had to create a video. I'm not going to do it live because I got super sick on Friday. And I wasn't able to practice as much as I would like. And what I'm going to do, hey, can you, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to show you DBA tools. And DBA tools it's a community project by a bunch of DBAs. I am the primary person, and I'm trying to get a whole team of people that will work on things while Microsoft is working on the SQLPS portion. So in this video, I'm going to show you how DBA tools can.
Yep, we're seeing it.
You can see it. It's driving me crazy. I'm actually trying to. Okay, I need to move that down. Move this up. Oh, it decides that it's not going to move after I select it. Okay, so everybody could see it, right?
I can see it. Rob,
okay.
Can you see it?
Okay.
I can, yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use DBA tools to migrate all of the databases from a SharePoint 2016 instance from like SQL Server 2014 to SQL Server 2016. Now, this is totally unrealistic. The reason that the reason that it's unrealistic isn't because it can't migrate it, but because nobody's ever going to do this. If you are a SharePoint admin, you'll never just copy over all of your things and then, wait for people to click. So in this, we have the video. I took this video at midnight last night, and I'm still recovering from my sickness, so I apologize. And here I'm going to walk you through it. So, hey, it is midnight, and the SQL Server form is connecting to SPSQL. SPSQL is an alias that points to SQL cluster. SQL cluster is my SQL cluster. Let's go ahead and look at the databases in there. So you can see here are all of my SharePoint databases. SQL 2016 has nothing on it but SSRS. Let's go around and we'll poke. I'm going to show you that it's true. This is actually online. So we have all of this. We click on the recycle bin. Sweet. Now we are going to execute start SQL migration. We're going to specify the source of SQL cluster, the destination of SQL 2016. We're going to use the backup and restore method, and we're going to put the backups on a network share. So this is doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's changing all of the configurations. It's copying over the credentials. It's copying over the database mail profiles. This is doing an entire instance migration. It is copying over CMS, all the backup devices, the link servers, including passwords, and the system triggers. And here's where we see the database is actually being backed up and restored to the new server. And while this is happening, keep in mind, I do this at all of my demos, you could just kick back and you could drink some red wine. You could get up, you could go use the bathroom. You could do whatever you want while your entire SQL instance migrates. This is so beautiful. I could just watch it. Y'all just sit back and watch it. Hey, if you are inattentive, look at this because it's awesome. I know I'm ridiculous, but how exciting is this? It's copying over all of the logins and all of the SQL agent jobs. And then it produces a transcript. So I totally said that I was going to put this online. It's online somewhere. If I had to guess, it's sqlps.io/transcript, but I'm not too sure. I forgot to check. But it's on my gist. gist.github.com. So let's go ahead and we are going to modify the alias. We're going to change it from SQL cluster to SQL 2016. We're going to apply this. And we are going to stop the SQL cluster just in case you don't believe me, because this is too cool. I'm going to stop that. And now we're going to go back to IE. And we are going to click around and it is online. How cool is that? So this is the possibility of this is the possibilities of DBAs using PowerShell in their day-to-day administration. We no longer have to do all of these tedious things. We can have PowerShell do it for us. And it's codified best practices. So there was a lot of work, a lot of research that went into this, a lot of checklists that we don't have to worry about anymore because it is already in the code and it's executed every single time. And that is the power and awesomeness of automation. And in the event that you don't believe me, let's see. I wonder if we have, so you might be like, Chrissy, jig is up. Is this 2016? No. Why isn't it showing up? I'm trying to show you. Let's see. I'm just going to go to my whole main screen. Can you guys see this whole thing? Can you see the whole thing? Can you see the whole thing? Yes. Okay.
Yes,
all
we
righty.
can see the whole thing.
Okay. So just so you know, this isn't any kind of like fake thing, because if you go here and you click around, so the website's still up, right? If you click around and you stop the instance that it's on, and then you go to SQL Server and it's not, sorry, SharePoint, and it's not around, it's just going to sit there and it's going to wait for a while. So it's just going to show those circles on both that site and that site. So as you can see, I just migrated all of the SharePoint databases from SQL Server 2014 to SQL Server 2016, but it was not only databases, it was logins, it was all the associated jobs, it was everything. And this is the potential of using PowerShell in your environment as a DBA. And next, we are going to pass it over to Rob, who's going to show you some super awesome Power BI things. I love his presentation.
Hello. You need to make me presenter, Chrissy, because I can't.
I can't. I don't think so. Oh, wait, I can't. Aaron, would you be able to?
Aaron can't. Aaron, unfortunately, we've lost Aaron.
No.
Aaron's just lost power at home, so
no, that's
we
crazy.
need to just
Okay, so let me try
on.
Rob.
Muted. Unmuted.
Okay, I was muted and unmuted. Okay, let me go to Rob Sewell. R-O-B. There we go. Okay,
Yes,
cool. On Apple. Yes, on Apple. Can it work from any SQL Server edition to any other SQL Server? Yes, it could go from Express all the way to Enterprise.
And I am the presenter.
You got it?
I got it. I just lost my window.
Jupe grades. Sorry.
Sorry. So, can you see the slide, Chrissy?
I can. I can see your whole desktop.
Excellent. So, slightly distracted because Aaron's just tweeting me as well. Hi, we're just talking about doing great things with SQL, doing the things that we don't want to be manually doing, but automating all the processes. Aaron showed you a great example of using register servers and central management servers to control your SQL instances using PowerShell. I take it another step further, and this is how I do it. What we do when we build a server is we add our instances into our DBO instance list table in a database. We also, whilst we're doing that, add a little bit of extra information that we know about at that time. So we might put some notes in there, but we'll probably put in a reference to a client, and we'll put in what environment it is. So every night, PowerShell will go through and it will gather through the information. In the on the screen, you can see that I populate the server OS information, so I always know what IP addresses the server's got, how much RAM it says it's got, what operating system it is. And then I gather information about SQL. So all the SQL information that I can gather, pretty much like right-clicking in Management Studio and clicking on properties. And then for each database as well. And also the agent jobs, which I roll up into a server level roll up and specifically for each agent job. Now, those aren't the only things that I gather with PowerShell every night. I do a lot more, but I make them specific for my environment. These are just the ones that are sort of pretty much open for anybody to use. And that's the advantage of this. Now we have one central place where we can go and gather our server information. So instead of just going and backing up all of our servers, now we could back up all our production servers, or all our production servers for that Chrissy Lemaire, because she's needs her clients, she needs her stuff sorted. So we can specifically maneuver our PowerShell to gather the information on very specific information. And then we can use that to then answer questions from our clients. But actually, people are always asking us questions, always coming in for information. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could just give them the chance to do it themselves? And so we use Power BI. Now, Chrissy, can you see the Power BI screen, or can you see all three screens? No answer.
Sorry, I had muted it because I didn't want you to hear me typing. Yes, I can, and I'm really excited. I want to see
Cool.
what you did.
So we jump into our DBA database on a server, and we just run a query to gather some information. And once we've got that information, it comes up in this screen here. Now, along the top, you've got all your column names. It's busy getting information from a server that's turned off at the moment. But what I would recommend that you do is you could rename your columns to make them more friendly for your clients, for the people that are going to be asking the questions. You can add computed columns or measures or all that other exciting stuff. And once you've done that, you simply close it and it vanishes. And then you can build yourself a report within your Power BI desktop. Now what I've got here is a report that used to sit on the back screen in our operating center. So we knew walking in the morning that today's agents jobs, we'd got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 had failed. We've got a history here that says that, oh look, 49 failed on the 4th of July. That's probably about right for you guys in the States. We've got a history of what we've got and what's going on, and now we can slice it because we're only really interested in production right now. It's first thing in the morning we've come in, and here we go. These are the jobs that we need to start looking at right now straight away. These are the jobs that failed for our environment that are labeled as production. They're the ones we need to go at first up. And I promise you, when you put this sort of information up on the wall, management come and look at it. They love pretty pictures. They love dynamic graphs. They love playing with data and making it change around. And they then ask for more and more information. So up here, we've got a nice publish button. And we publish it. This will put it up into Power BI. Now, if you're allowed to put that information up into Power BI, that's for you to sort out with your security officers. Obviously, some people will work with information where you're not allowed to put that sort of thing in. Now we have a Power BI dashboard where we can, which I can now share with anybody else. So, for example, maybe I shared it with my security team, and they want to know how many SQL servers we've got. So we start typing and the data starts changing on the bottom. So there's 145 servers.
Wow.
And now we want to know how many servers there are in Bolton because we're interested in the Bolton data center. There's 55. And actually what the security guy's concerned about is how many have got XP command shell enabled equal to true.
Shoot.
That's 19. But actually more than that, he wants to know by version how many there are, and bang, there we go. He's just saved me an hour of his time.
It's beautiful.
If I didn't have this information and I had to go out and find in that data center all the servers and then go and see which ones have got XP command shell enabled true and then work out the version and then give it to him, it's really, really useful. And it was because I was able to give this information to the security team that they were the ones that were able to approve it and they could see the use in it. So it's not just that, because maybe it's a technology management person who comes in who wants to know, show me the server name and the collation and is full text installed in Exeter.
Oh,
or perhaps now he wants to look at Bristol, and bang, there it goes, and it just changes all the time. So that was our SQL information, and we can use the mapping function to give some ideas of where our servers are. So if we have a look here, we've got 94 instances in Bolton, we've got 1 in Norwich, and we've got 8 in Southampton. We can click on that, can then take us into the report, and we can filter our information by developer edition, by standard edition, by production.
Wow.
Nice.
So let's go to the databases dashboard. And now we've shared this information now with our client account manager, the person that deals with the guys who pay the bills. And what they want to know is where their data is. So what locations and database names that hold Metallica data. This isn't Metallica data. I wish it was, but this is not Metallica data. This is made-up data based on real data. But there we go. Straight away, this client account manager has not had to come and ask me any questions. They can just type their questions there, and they know that in Exeter is where their data is. So now they want to know, they actually want to know, how big is this data? How much data does Metallica have? So what are the database? Let's take all of it. What are the database names and size to be? This is the bit where I said that you should change the names of your columns to make them easier for your client to understand. Obviously, when I did this in a production environment, I would have changed this just to say size, so that the client account manager in question could just type in size. But for right now, we'll just have to do size GB. For Metallica, add a table. And there's the information straight away for her. Immediately just able to answer the question, maybe while she's on the phone. And last but not least, of course, clients always want to know that their data is safe. That not only is it secure, but that it's backed up. So when was the last backup date for the Eagles? And the server name. So here somebody hasn't been doing their job properly, because the Eagles' last backup was on the 30th of August 2015. So it's probably time that DBA had a strong word from their manager. So hopefully that's a quick demo of another way of improving your DBA life by using PowerShell with people.
Metal, man, that was awesome. I love it.
Thank you. So,
Aaron.
it's over to Aaron. He's back.
Oh, is it me already?
It's you already.
All right. Give me just a second because I gotta re-enable. Jump to the right spot. No, don't change it to Christy.
No, don't give it to me. My screen is messy.
All right. Hopefully, in a minute or two, it should go ahead and show that to you.
Yes.
Yep, we can see it.
We can.
So, as we've said many times before, SQLPS.io/YouTube or video, it's actually the same redirect. The video for this will be posted on our YouTube channel. Please share it with folks that you think might find this information interesting. And SQLPS.io/Slack. You can ask questions there and join the conversation with us and keep the conversation going in between meetings. So if you join us there, obviously on the Trello board as well. Again, those links are down there at the bottom of the screen. And you can, like I said, go to them yourself, and please share them with your coworkers who you think might be interested. We're a little bit over on time, but we did intend to leave a good amount of time.
It's perfect, yeah.
For questions.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might be going, wait, hold on, you're changing everything, with the new module name and everything like that. So we've got time for your questions now. Please go ahead and start asking your questions either in the Q&A here in GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar, or in the Q&A in Slack, either one, and would love to answer your questions. Rob and Chrissy, if you want to grab some of the questions out of the queue and read them out loud and then answer them, that would be great. And even if it's a question you've already answered, so we can share it with everyone else.
So the first question is, might I be able to drink wine on the job in Belgium? The answer is yes, but we prefer beer. All right, next question. Rob.
Can you use an on-premise SQL database as a source for Power BI? Yes, absolutely you can. So when I published the report, it was only the data that was included within the report that went up into PowerBI.com. The data came from an on-premise SQL Server. Now, if you just wish to manually do that, maybe your security team don't want you to open that hole in their firewall to connect up, that might be an option for you. However, if you would like to schedule automated refreshes, then you need to use a gateway. So there is a Power BI Enterprise Gateway. I would suggest that you go and read up on that and have a look. Next, where can I download SQL Server modules?
So we put that in the email today. So if you're wandered in from Twitter and don't have that, we'll grab the link for you real quick from today's email and post it into the chat. But you basically go to Microsoft's website and download the July update for SSMS, and it will have it packaged inside of there for you. You may be thinking, hey, I'd love to put that on a server, these new jobs, these new commandlets, and put them inside of a job. How do I do that? The answer for the time being is that you will have to install SSMS to be able to get those new functionality onto that server if you want to automate that job, and then call out to PowerShell.exe and then load the module from there, just like any kind of like regular command, and then open PowerShell session. Will that change in the future? I believe so. I know that they have thought about that, they being the SQL Tools team. They don't have anything to announce about it right now, but this rapid development cycle, they've only had less than a month since the last release of the tools, so they haven't had a ton of time to think about it, and let alone actually come up with a solution and test it and try and make sure it doesn't break things for people. And not breaking things for people is very key. So yes, I know they're thinking about it, and they'll have something to announce at a later date, and they're hoping to have something to announce prior to the next version. But I can't speak for them on that topic.
So thank you for the compliment that this is one of the best webinars so far, that there was very nice demos, especially the Power BI demo. I totally agree. I love Rob's demo. It is something made of magic. So thank you very much. I don't see. Should you have to invite us to Slack? So Slack it was weird for me to understand at first too.
Great question.
You do have to be invited to Slack, but the invites are open. So what a lot of teams do, like the PowerShell team, like all the PowerShell people, the Azure team, they'll create a website that kind of does it for you. And that's what we did. So we set up SQLPS.io/Slack. And there you just type in your email address, and you'll soon get a request from me. And it's like, please click on this link, and then you join. So right now, there are 273. Wow, that is awesome. We got almost like 100 today. So there's 273 other people, and you might think, oh, that's a lot of noise and it's a lot of spam. But there are also, let's see, the channels. There's 18 channels.
18.
Yeah, and really, we're not overwhelmed. I get really excited whenever people talk. It doesn't feel like, oh no, there's so much chatter going on, and that's the way it's going to be for a while. There'll be 3, 5, 12 hours of just silence, and then there's going to be a lively conversation. So let's see. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. How can we keep up with the updates? And I think that's it's a question that a lot of people are wondering as this iteration of tooling comes, not just with SQL and with SQL PowerShell now, but in all methods in our IT life. I asked this question of a few people when I was in Dublin at the SQL Saturday, and one of the answers that came back to me was somebody who said, nowadays, when I am interviewing for people, I'm asking them how they find out how to do something they didn't know, because that becomes the most important skill. So from my point of view, I think that the most important thing that you can do is understand how to work out how to find the thing that you need to do for something new. So in Aaron's presentation, he gave great examples of using get command, get help, and get member to find out what's going on with your PowerShell bits. It's taking that sort of pipeline process and applying it to all the rest of the things. Chrissy, Aaron, what do you think about keeping up with the pace of change in your job?
Yeah, so the one thing I wanted to call out, number one is, we're working our butts off here and we're all volunteers, and there may be a day where the three of us actually take off and Larry too, and we miss a release. So I would highly suggest that you actually subscribe to the Data Platform Insider blog, which is getting a lot of information out on it. You can get to that on blogs.msdn.com, blah, blah, blah. I'll put it up here in a second. Get to know, we may not call out every single little feature, or obviously they're the ones writing the code, so they may know about it ahead of time before we're able to tell you about it. So you want to go there, and one of the reasons that you want to go there is it is going to have the updates for you for the what's new in this version, and they're going to link to it directly off of there, and the link to the release notes. Keeping up, it's constantly changing. They're adding new things. So you'll definitely want to add that to your list of things that you keep track of. And if all works out, I will share that here in. No, it's not working out.
Well, I'll answer. The way that I keep up with it is now Microsoft has regularly scheduled updates, right? So the first of the month, we're going to see updates of SSMS, and that's the one that really matters to me. So pretty much on the first of every month, I'm sitting there hitting refresh until we get the bits. Seriously, especially this month. And then I got super sick and I couldn't even install them until days later. And so I'm kind of old fashioned. That's how I'm going to be keeping track, is typing in a Google like SQL Server Management Studio download, and then seeing if it's been updated and installing it immediately. If I do see that there is an update.
I've got that shared now on the webinar so that you guys can check it out. The Data Platform Insider blog, and definitely subscribe to that so that you know about this stuff when it comes out. And also find out about things from other tools that they're working on, not just PowerShell, but other things that are interrelated to all this. New features to everything from availability groups and always encrypted to the other things that you might not think that there are commandlets for, but there are updates in there. Eventually commandlets as well.
Somebody said that unfortunately SQLPS.io/vote is blocked by their company's firewall. It's probably because it's a redirector. It's one that we built, so it's not like it's an Earl shortener. And it goes to Trello.com. Hey, could you show them the Trello board and we can kind of talk about it? So Trello might be considered by some companies, this would be totally dumb, to be a social site, and it's not. It keeps track of lists. So Aaron, would you like to show them the Trello board? And by the way, just to reiterate, that Microsoft is on these sites. Microsoft is on Trello. They're on Slack. They're on Twitter. Totally follow Ken. So he's SQL Tools Guy on Twitter. He's very participatory. And the same goes for Trello. They are there. They are watching. They want the input, and they totally, I hate the phrase, the whatever's in the price is in the pudding. It's not price. The proof. So the proof is there. Yeah, I hate that word, but that phrase. But it's true. They are there. They are responding, and I encourage everyone to go and suggest the changes that they want made. And also tell your friends, hey, look, if you have to cheat and you have to like tweet about like, hey, I want some upvotes because I totally did the same thing, then do it, because what they see is what they're gonna do, and go there. All right, go.
And they ask you when and if they ask you a question like, why do you need this? You know, think of them needing to fill out justification on their side why they're going to, you know, spend 26 hours building this tool. So give them an answer, like, because I need to never, you know, don't be short with them. Give them as much details as you can, and hopefully not only will your information get in there, but hopefully other people will be like, yes, me too, me too, me too, so that they can see, you know, quite a number of people have the same need, and so that they can write that into the justification why they're going to spend this time developing, you know, X feature. You know, it's because there's a lot of demand, and we see it right here, and they've got the proof.
It's exactly the same as all of us have in our work. We have priorities of things that we would like to fix first. So we've just got to make the thing. If there's something that you really want fixed, or somebody was mentioning mirroring commandlets to me today, and you know, I said, if that's something you really want to get fixed, get onto Trello board, get it voted up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you can see, you know, Mateo's a bit of a night owl, and so, you know, he's not on there every day. He gets out there when he can, and he asks questions, and someone had some concerns about update help, and Mateo jumped in and said, you know, here's the answer, and you know, this is what you should expect. And Mateo is very, I would say he loves PowerShell. He seems to really get it, you know. He wants to be PowerShell compliant, you know, to the fullness of what it's supposed to be like, and he's, you know, inching the modules and all the capabilities there very cautiously. We don't want to break anything. I don't want to break anything. He doesn't want to break anything. We don't want anyone's jobs that they've been running something small for years on functionality in SQLPS to break. But he is moving things forward as quickly as he can, and you know, trying to make the most of this investment in the SQL PowerShell ecosystem.
And I just want to throw in something real quick. So Aaron, whenever we got the set of the SQL agent commandlets, Aaron was like, hey, is there something to find all the failed jobs? And I was like, Aaron, you don't need that, because you would do a SQL, you know, get SQL agent job where a status equals failed. And Mateo came back and was like, no, if that's a common practice, then that's something I'm going to build. And I was like, this is so awesome. I don't even care if I was wrong. I was totally wrong in there. We have somebody who wants to do the best thing. And, you know, like if it's a common scenario, then even if it's easy to find, and for me as a PowerShell person, I'm like, yeah, I'll just, you know, slap a where clause on that. He's like, no, we'll just build a commandlet for it. So, you know, like I said earlier, with the link and SharePoint and Exchange, they all have 700 commandlets. Let's build that up. We're currently at, what's the number, 70 something?
71.
Yeah, so we're at 71. So we have 10 times the amount just to get where they're at now. Come up with the commandlets that you would like to see, and put them on the Trello board, and then vote on them. So go ahead.
And if you read the article that we put link to on SQL Server Central, I'll try to sum it up very quickly. PowerShell's intended to, as many times as possible, to work in pairs of verbs. So if you can get something, you should be able to set something, whether that's a get a database and set a database, get a table, set a table. If you can read something like the error log, you should be able to write to the error log. Well, we don't want to write to the error log, so we're going to use a different commandlet name for that. And if you can add something, you should be able to remove that same something. Add table, remove table. So when Mateo went through it, he saw that, you know, if I should be able to get the error log, I should be able to set anything on the error log that I might be able to, and one of those things is the max number of error logs. And I didn't even ask for that. I don't know if someone else did, but he went ahead and put it in there because that's a proper way to do it. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, you know, it'd be even better is if you could say, I want to set the max size, and as soon as my error log gets to 50 megabytes, go ahead and roll it over. I don't want massive massive error logs, and that's more important to me than the number of error logs. If I've got 600 error logs, that's fine. I've got quick ways to read through them as long as they're all underneath of 50 meg. That's what is important to me. And he took a look at that. His response is, do you think people will like that? I'm like, I don't know about you, but yeah. And he's like, do you think people will mind if we change things on them, a month after we just gave it to them? And I'm like, we didn't even ask for the capability, and then like a month later we might have something we didn't ask for? Are you kidding me? People will be mad? I don't think so. So it's iterative development. There could be a time where we ask for something, we get it, and we go, man, we need to change that. Now that we have it, that's not what we should have asked for. I don't think that's likely to happen because we've got so much to build so soon. Might happen one day. We will message loudly if that ever does happen. But for the time being, I think it'll just be like, all right, here's the basic information. Does that work? Does that satisfy what people need? And if most people are happy with it, then they can go on to the next one. There's lots of missing areas that need to be given some love. And we gotta, it's like security commandlets. Well, I don't do a lot with security. Other people do. So I gotta let them get some commandlets into the cycle as well. So we might not get things perfect the first time, but we know that they're committed to going back and adding features if people demand it. So enough of that soapbox. Guys, more questions?
No, it wasn't a soapbox. It was totally good. Let's see if there are any questions.
Oh, and especially don't forget the Slack channel.
There is a repeated question about the difference between invoke SQL command and the modules. And we did answer that the invoke SQL command is, it's a commandlet within SQLPS and SQL Server that executes queries and probably does other stuff. I don't know because I don't use it. So would you like to speak on it?
Well, what I will say is invoke SQL command it's very basic. Going back to, you've got SQL command mode inside of SQL Management Studio, inside of SSDT. It's your PowerShell way of being able to do that, but it also now will return you results in a .NET data table. That's one of the improvements we asked for. And that is something where you can then take those results and you can eventually, right now you would have to use a custom function, but hopefully we'll get a full commandlet. You would then be able to take the results of that and be able to insert into a table. So if you need to get some inventory from all your servers and then store it in one, you'll be able to do that. If you need to get some information about SSIS packages and then store that for versioning information, you'll be able to do that. And you've got part of the equation now with that update of being able to add the output as a data table, and hopefully we'll get more capabilities with able to actually be able to save that data table into a SQL Server table in the future.
Do you know if it still has the timeout issue, Aaron?
I believe that was actually addressed back in 2012, if I recall correctly. The most common of those scenario issues was addressed back then. There may be other more edge cases, but I know that they were that was looked into back in 2012, and I've had some confirmation one from I believe it was SQL MCM who verified that was addressed back in 2012.
Excellent. And another question from the chat is, can somebody clarify what versions the SQL Server module commandlets work with? I know from running against my lab that SQL Agent Job, Job History, those commandlets have run successfully against 2005, 2008, 8R2, 12, 14, 16. I don't know if you've got any further back than that, Aaron?
So I guess what I will point to is on one of the pages up there on the Microsoft blog about this was that this is a full, SSMS 2016 is a full GA level release. It's fully supported, and so I would expect that all versions that are supported, so going all the way back, I guess, to 2008 and 2008 R2, should be fully supported, that you talk to them. 2005 is no longer supported. It may work. but if it's not supported, then especially going forward, I would expect that capabilities might not be added for versions at all. It is using SMO most of the time, so it's probably going to work, but it is technically officially unsupported. So
we also have another question that's from a security standpoint. Are there any requirements to run PowerShell commands on to remote SQL instances? So PowerShell uses SMO in the backend, kind of like SSMS.
Right.
It will connect through the SQL ports. If you want to actually use the PowerShell, like going in and using invoke command -computer and using it that way, it's really going to depend on your policy. So it doesn't really deal directly with computers, with the computer security policy. It does follow SQL Server's security policy.
More specifically, I guess I would say it would be the same as SSMS.
Yeah.
Down to specifically, if you can get there with SSMS, you can get there with PowerShell. If you can't get there with SSMS, you might be able to get there with PowerShell, but that's a strong indicator that you're going to run into issues.
I do have a quick question. I know that we went all the way through the PowerPoint, but I don't know if in all the excitement it got lost. Did we discuss the upcoming SQL Server Saturday events and also the SQL Summit? I know that was Rob. Rob has some really exciting news about SQL Server Saturday Manchester, which has an entire PowerShell track, which is super incredible.
There you go. I don't need to say any more than that.
No. You can go
SQL Saturday Manchester is July the 23rd, and we have one whole entire track in a SQL Saturday, which I don't think has happened anywhere else in the world. A whole entire track dedicated to PowerShell. All about PowerShell. I'm doing some presenting. Ryan Yates, Andre Kaman will be spending all day talking to guys about PowerShell and using SQL with PowerShell. It will be brilliant. July the 20th in Manchester in the United Kingdom. Come and join us.
We'd also like to see a lot more PowerShell tracks at SQL Saturday. I was very excited. Just recently, I presented at SQL Server Saturday Paris, and that's where I got my shirt. And 10% of the sessions were PowerShell, and I think that number is going to continuously grow. We do hope that at the next summit, with this summit, I think that there were 2 sessions out of 150 that were PowerShell based, and we're really looking to grow that number as the number of commandlets grow and as DBAs become comfortable and familiar with PowerShell as a daily part of their working, just like it is with SQL Server Management Studio.
And here's another interesting thing. At the PowerShell conference in Europe, the conference for PowerShell, about a quarter of the attendees were working with SQL in some way. So there are guys coming through to get information about PowerShell from the PowerShell world as well as coming the other way from the SQL world. And Chrissy and I certainly had a lot of chats with people, especially developers who are using SQL in their development, who were talking about, well, how do we set up availability groups? How can we install things with DSC? How can we get availability groups sorted with DSC and moving that forward? So I think there'll be a lot of change coming through from for the commandlets that will come through from the development world as well as straight from the DBAs.
Agreed.
Just wanted to let you know that in one of the ones in Florida is probably the first one that ever did a full day PowerShell track. I know Atlanta has done it multiple times in the past, so it's been done, and I'm very, very happy to see it happening over there in the UK, helping to.
It's the first one in Europe. Oh no, we're not in Europe, are we? It's the first one in the UK.
Oh, I'm so sorry, so sorry. That's all I'll say about that. I'm sorry. So someone had asked.
Any more questions, folks?
We did. We got a couple more. Oh, Mike Val is doing a PS pre-con at SQL Saturday Louisville on 8/5. So on August 5th, Mike Val's doing a pre-con at the SQL Server Saturday. Does that mean that he's doing it on a Friday then? Because aren't they
Yeah.
usually the day before? So we do have one pre-con listed on here, and that is no, got truncated. Oh yeah, SQL Saturday pre-con Baton Rouge by the Midnight DBAs. They'll be doing that on August 5th, so right around the time. We do have 2 pre-cons, so that we got that in our corner.
And also in Oslo and possibly in Denmark, but definitely in Oslo, a pre-con there as well.
Oh, sweet. Awesome. Such great news. We're going to take over, guys. We have to.
Yep. So I think that's, we've answered a lot of questions. A lot of people hung on with us.
Thank you. Yeah.
90. Yeah, thank you.
After 90 minutes, it's really nice.
Here. But, at this point, probably a good time to go ahead and close it down if there's not too many more questions. And again, join us on the Slack channel, and you'll be able to ask us those questions afterwards. Obviously, you can still ask us questions on Twitter or whatever as well, whichever works for you. We just wanted to make it an easy way to be able to get a hold of us or whoever the speaker may be for that month.
And thank you all so much for joining us. It has been a blast answering your questions, and we're all super excited about the future of PowerShell and SQL Server.
Definitely. Yep. Thank you very much, and come and join in the conversation and on the other channels.
Yep.
See you guys around.
And we've got another session coming up for y'all in just about 2 weeks. Sander Stad working with PowerShell workflows. Information we haven't covered on here on the PowerShell VC. I don't know if we've ever done it, and if we have ever done it, it's probably been a couple years since we did it. So it'll be great fresh information for you for how to automate things. And that's it for now.
Cool.
Thanks
for
joining
all.
us.
See you.